Hello and welcome to the sixth episode of the 8-6 podcast, hosted by Half Past 8 and a Swag Rabbit. On today's episode, Ford unveils the Bronco RTR, which I think is a more off-road oriented version of the Bronco, but apparently there's more to it. The Hachiroku continues to dominate the Japanese sports car segment, and the future continues to run on petrol. But first, British firm Encore is making a resto mod of the Lotus Esprit, and it looks hot. But before we begin, there is a quick update on something that we talked about, what was it, 2 episodes ago? So when this first came up, it was extra, stop the presses, holy shit, we're winning. And yeah, and holy shit, we're winning. So, Governor Lori Kelly has signed into law the Kansas Motorsports Venue Protection Act. Apparently, actually, this article, which is from apparently one of the groups that was fighting for it, they say there's similar stuff in Iowa and North Carolina. North Carolina makes a ton of sense because that's like core NASCAR.
Yeah. We've needed some wins in this sector for a while, and shit's finally going well.
Oh, this is a big win. This is a massive win for us. For those that are unaware, this law renders motorsports venues, so racetracks, drag strips, and so on, immune from noise and all sorts of other types of complaints, as long as they've been in continuous operation with no breaks for more than 4 years. So this puts an absolute stop to real estate developers buying cheap land around racetracks and then people moving in there and bitching and whining about the noise and getting the track shut down because of the noise complaints. This kills that. Finally.
Thank God.
Oh, we need
because
this.
These Karens are just out of control. Anti-Karen laws are never a bad thing.
We need this everywhere. We need this in Texas. We need this in Connecticut. We need this in New Hampshire. We need this in New York. I mean, Washington State, everywhere. Everywhere. Hell, make it, I don't want to say make it federal. I don't know how you do that, but make it as federal as you can get. Like, because it's essentially a guarantee that you're not building a racetrack next to the homes. Because in order to build a racetrack, to do anything on your own land, you have to get, like, planning permission from your local authority, and people can complain about that. And anyways, nobody wants to build a racetrack next to residential areas. Nobody wants to deal with the headache of that. Besides which, that property tends to be expensive. You buy cheap land in the middle of nowhere to build these things. It's always, 100% of the time, that the residences move in next to the track. And so, as far as I'm concerned, tracks total buy on all these BS complaints.
40, 50 years ago, when all these tracks were established, basically what they did was they picked a major metropolitan area and they went 50 to 70 miles outside the city, right?
Yeah.
They bought land where it was worth nothing. Now, as the city expands and more people go to the track, the land around it gets more expensive, and then you finally have developers coming in going, well, the city has gotten big enough where we now need people to move out here, and this is good land, and they build next to the track. But then there's nothing to protect the tracks. And so the thing that brought all the business to the land in the first place now gets kicked out because you have a bunch of bitchy neighbors.
Yeah. This kind of reinforces a lot of what we were saying last time we talked about this. $743 million in annual revenue, and that's just Kansas. That's almost $750 million. $77 million in state and local taxes. So there's your incentive for legislators to vote for this. No wonder it was unanimous. 5,700 jobs. Like, yeah. You want some numbers you can take to your local legislator and say, pass this shit, protect our heritage racetracks, because racetracks are part of American heritage. More than anything else, this is American culture. I mean, it's all close to the 250th birthday of our country. This is part of our country. It needs to be protected. And these are some numbers that you can take to your legislators, even the ones that are like, cars are dangerous and evil. No one should be able to have fun with them. Fine, throw, Kansas, which not super populous, not a ton of activity, still makes $77 million off of this. There you go. There's some numbers. Take them. Let's see some more of these wins. Moving on, because it's only like a quick addendum. The Lotus Esprit. Oh my word, the Lotus Esprit. One of my favorite ever, like, historic cars, just because of how weird it is. The thing looks like a cheese wedge. It was in a James Bond film, and it has an inline-4 engine that is literally half a V8. They wanted to develop a V8, but they didn't want to put it in the Esprit, so they made half of it, and it's got this, like, slant inline-4, and it's goofy and wild and wonderful. And there is a company in the UK, Encore, or Encore, I suppose, which is making resto mods of these. So you have to provide your own Esprit. You have to bring the car. It's only a set of mods. I think it restores the car. They fix it up. They put a new twin turbo V8 in it. And they do a bunch of stuff to the interior. They do a bunch of tuning stuff, bunch of exhaust stuff, new wheels, new brakes. I think they do some body work. Like carbon fiber body paneling. They redo everything, and my word, that is gorgeous.
It is pretty gorgeous. So we're looking at used prices here, depending on the trim and model and mileage for like just getting an Esprit to take to this thing. 30 grand to over 100. Earlier turbo models typically sell for 25 to 50 grand.
Well,
so you can actually get into one pretty cheaply compared to other things.
You're not getting into this cheaply. They want over $500,000 for this because it is entirely handmade. Like, this is a handcrafted, one of a kind, one of 50. They're only doing 50 of them. Handcrafted, one of 50, and I mean, it's gorgeous.
I will say this is one of those things you want to do though if you have the money. Yes. Because regardless of that $500,000, it's the car itself is cheap. For people that actually have the kind of money to buy jets and stuff, this is going to be cheap as well.
Yeah.
A car like it was best said a while back, and I forget exactly who said it, but they said if you have the money to buy a jet, a Rolls Royce is an impulse buy.
Basically.
So this is an impulse buy for people that know that this car is probably going to turn around and become a multi-million-dollar car.
I hope it's not an impulse buy for them. I hope it's an impulse buy for people that are rich enough for $500,000 to be an impulse buy, who are like actual genuine car guys. Because what I don't want is some Saudi prick going, or some crypto bro going, I'll do this and it'll sit in a garage for 20 years because I'll be able to sell it for $10 million in the future. By the way, biggest thing I love about this interior is this is I hate digital displays in cars. I hate big center console displays. I'm an analog dials and buttons kind of guy. This is a digital display interior even I could like.
It's minimalist and it only has what you need on it.
Exactly. The center display is integrated into the dash. You can see kind of from the icons and the displays there. It's a supplement to your driving. You're not doing everything on that stupid little thing. You glance down at it. Maybe you've got some info up on it. You glance down. You glance back up. The way they have the speedometer and tachometer set up, that actually looks good. So, car manufacturers...
And the only thing I can call this fucking interior, though, is bespoke retro.
Which...
Like, realistically, that's the words I'm coming up with for it.
They're very good, very fitting words. I love it. But sports car manufacturers should be paying attention to this. This is what, if you want to have a sports car that looks futuristic, and I can get behind a futuristic looking sports car, it's just the problem is that futuristic nowadays just means over-designed. But this looks actually futuristic. Tasteful carbon fiber, I don't even care if it's real, and just the dials and gauges and lights are integrated into everything. They don't pop out. They're not in your face. You don't have this massive display. It's just there. You glance down, you glance back up. That's what it should be. This might not get much mainstream view, but I do know the new Ferrari with the interior designed by Johnny Ive, or the interface designed by Johnny Ive, is actually getting some look, and that I also quite like. The Ferrari one that has, like, it's a digital display, but it's got physical gauges integrated into it just right. And it proves
I haven't seen it yet.
It proves that Apple could do great things if they actually tried. Let me actually see if I can pull up an image.
Well, the thing that kills the ability to actually run a company is publicly trading a company.
Yeah.
Let's be real here, because as soon as you start caring more about the shareholders than you care about the actual product and the people that are buying the product, everything goes downhill. And so, whenever the down point for any company is the moment they become publicly traded. As soon as you sell them off from the people that actually built it, it's over.
So this is what this looks like. It's from the Ferrari Luce, and it is actually gorgeous. Yeah. I like all of this.
I can get behind it. That's still minimalist enough for me.
The way they have the clock set up, because the clock face is a digital display, but the hands are analog, if I remember correctly. And
well, that's interesting.
Oh, that is gorgeous. Yeah.
I'm liking that they want to still remain digital, but they're trying to make it feel more like the old days instead of like a fucking Tesla. Because Ferrari went through a Tesla phase where everything looked like a goddamn Tesla inside. Nobody wants a fucking Tesla.
Yeah, this is what a futuristic car should look like. Not just everything is an iPad. So, yeah, if you have a spare $600,000 plus sitting around, Lotus Esprit with pop-up headlights.
And I would honestly, it looks like they're going to replace the entire interior. It looks like they're going to do a lot of stuff. So don't go buy a clean $100,000 Lotus. No. Buy the cheapest high mileage one you can find. And that way, when it does this, you're saving probably $70,000. Anybody with the money to do this probably knows that, but still, it's fun to talk about.
Well, take out the engine and sell it for spares, because they're putting in a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V8, which probably sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah, then you don't even need the engine to work. Just buy a fucking $20,000 shell.
Yeah, 400 horsepower, sub 4 seconds, 0 to 60. Oh.
175 miles an hour, and that thing would be terrifying. But yeah, that's going to be awesome.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's good.
Okay. The Bronco RTR, which is their latest Bronco variant. I do like the look of that dash. I'm a big sucker for topographical dashes. So what is RTR? Because going into this, I thought RTR just was like a variant of this car. But apparently it's more than that.
So this is gonna be fun. This is gonna blow your mind a little bit. Do you know of in Formula Drift? So FD, there is a competitor that has always run Mustangs known as Von Gittin Jr. Have you heard of him?
No, I don't follow Formula Drift, unfortunately.
Okay, well, Von Gittin Jr. has been so big into the whole Mustang thing that he basically RTR is like Roush and Shelby. It's just another split off where they're allowed by Mustang to take Mustangs and turn them into monsters.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's been upsides and downsides to this. They have RTR up to spec 700 horsepower Mustang GTs, like the V8 GTs. Yeah. And they're specifically, most of them are made in drift spec for the people that buy them. And then the downside of this is he may have helped create the Mach-E. and he put the performance side of it in. So
Ooh.
everything good about the Mach-E is from him, and everything
Yeah,
bad
okay.
about it is from
Okay,
everybody else.
I can forgive that. He tried to save the Mach-E.
He did try to save the Mach-E.
You know,
So I'll forgive him, but
he's kind of like, what's his face? The like 13th Doctor in Doctor Who. Peter Capaldi, who was given the worst, shittiest script. Not the shittiest scripts in Doctor Who history, but the shittiest scripts in Doctor Who history up to that point. And
true.
he acted his heart out and made it at least somewhat watchable. It's that same thing.
Yeah.
He was given
So
the impossible task of making an EV SUV fun, and he did his best.
RTR
Yes.
is take anything Ford related, take the notch and just crank it past 10 all the way up to like 15 or 20 until you can't go anymore, and then crank more out of it.
And
Basically.
this thing is supposed to be under 52.5?
Uh-huh. So RTR is still supposed to be affordable trims for things, because when you get up to Shelby, you're looking
Yeah.
at fucking 250 or
Yeah.
whatever for a Mustang. So the RTR
Okay.
Spec 5s, I think, are about 100, maybe, which
So
is still not super affordable, but
so this is kind of a rally comp version of the Bronco. This is the Bronco you would take to Rallycross if the center of gravity's low enough.
this is the Bronco if you have real nuts. Yes. It's the easiest
Okay.
way to put it. If you have real nuts, you buy one of these.
I am a lot less ambivalent about this now. This might actually be a Bronco that I might actually want to drive, because I will
Yeah.
say I'm not a super big fan of the Broncos. I just don't really like how they look, and they're a bit too chunky and big for me. I like my small Japanese cars, but if this is going to be a proper rally monster, I could see it. Love
And
that
dude,
go
if
on.
you don't know already, though, RTR stands for Ready to Rock. It's basically his. Yeah, that's what it means. That's what the company is. It's Ready to Rock. That's what RTR means.
Oh, that is kick-ass. That explains why the selector dial says goat modes.
Yep.
I love it. Is the manual mode? I mean, this is only like the images. We'll probably get more news about the proper tech specs of this thing. But I wonder if that manual mode is going to be a proper manual mode, or how much it's going to try and interfere with you. If it is as you describe it, it's probably going to be relatively hands off, which I hope.
It might be more hands-on than you think. It's
Ooh.
coming from a drifting standpoint, but he also, I believe, works with a couple of rally truck guys,
Okay.
like actual ralliers.
Well, by hands on, I mean the transmission computer.
Okay,
Like,
well, hopefully there's
yeah.
not much of that, but you're going and taking actual production models and then tuning them
Because
in the shop. You're not putting your own shit in like some other people are.
yeah, because unfortunately, a lot of modern automatics with manual modes nowadays have, manual modes that aren't like the one in my 8.6 is the only thing it stops you from doing is money shifting and stalling. Everything beyond that, as long as you're not going to money shift or stall, go for it. It doesn't care. A lot of modern manual modes and automatics they interfere with you a lot more, and they're a lot slower, and they're a lot more finicky. And so I hope, if this is a proper rally truck, not even truck, because it's not a truck, a proper rally SUV, that it's going to have a relatively well-tuned manual mode, because I assume this is only going to be automatic. They're not going to put an 8 shifter in this thing, unfortunately. I actually like the green.
The green does look good.
It grows on you. It grows on you after a bit.
This isn't going to be the crawler like competition with Jeep, though.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be their attempt to run high-speed dune chases.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is going to be, which is super cool.
Definitely can't wait till it shows up in Forza 6.
Right? It'll probably be one of the faster 4x4s on there.
Honestly. Maybe we can finally have something that beats the fucking Brat. Because the Brat just kicks everything's ass.
Well, especially when you swap a V12 into it like you do everything.
I don't even do that. I swap a 207 from an STI into it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which is what everybody that owns a Brat and wants to race it does anyways, is you take an EJ207 out of an STI and just drop the fucker in. Which I can't blame them, because I want to buy a Brat and I want to do that to a Brat. It's just the perfect engine for it. Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to when we hear tech specs on this thing. Now that you describe RTR to me, I thought this was just another Bronco trim, but yeah, that sounds kick-ass, and I want to hear more.
Yep. So RTR is very quickly catching up. They don't have the prestige, but everybody who knows. RTR is becoming the next Roush and Shelby.
Honestly, that's the best place for them to be. The only place for them to go is down.
That is
Because
true.
once they start getting more popular, it's going to go down, right? Because you... And this kind of goes into my, stupid nostalgia moment. The car community was better. Admittedly, I wasn't a part of it, but it was better when a lot of these brands were like, if you know, you know. They were good shibboleths for who was actually interested in cars and who just read specs out of a magazine. Once a lot of these tuning shops got big and popular and everyone knew about them, and suddenly all the rich kids were buying them as status symbols, that's when they start going downhill. So I hope it's inevitable. RTR is going to get big, probably 5-10 years from now. It's going to be the new thing everyone's going to be talking about. I've got an RTR this, I've got an RTR that. It's going to be kind of like the GT3 RS, where like a whole bunch of people that aren't particularly interested in cars buy it just for the brand name. And that's coming eventually. But while it's still somewhat underground and somewhat if you know, you know, let's enjoy it.
Indeed.
All right. Moving on. This is the 8.6 podcast, so we should occasionally talk about 8.6s.
We should. This one's exciting too.
First quarter 2026 sales report, specifically focusing on this is Japanese sports cars. So this is the market for sports cars made in Japan. The GR86 blows everything else out of the water, and especially blows everything out of the water because what's funny to me is they list the 8.6 and the BRZ separately. So it's like, oh, it moved a little over 2,000 units. Yeah, but the BRZ moved, what was it, 803? So, yeah, combined, 8.6s moved like 2,850 in first quarter. The next best was the MX-5, which is the sports car everyone buys.
That is crazy, by the way, that we have something that is starting to compete with the MX-5 and even beat it out in the Japanese market. Like,
in terms of sales, yeah.
In terms of sales. That just goes to show you how far Mazda has fallen, though.
Yeah.
Because the GRs are great cars, but the fucking new MX-5s, man, they are just not getting the kind of hype they used to get.
I think part of that is that everyone that wants an MX-5 already owns an MX-5. Or
that is true.
A Miata.
They're so easy to get into. Anybody that has any extra money.
They're easy to get into. There's a whole ton of them on the used market in not awful shape for not a whole ton of money. And like they've made $1.25 million of them. I think that's probably why they're not selling a ton of new ones, is because they're way too easy to get into on the used market. And on top of that, like, the ND is just a little too new to get kind of settled in a classic. Everyone's driving the NA and the NB because those are like the Miatas. But even the NC is like picking up. And the ND just, you've already got all these other ones that are more established. There's more of a community around, and they're just so easy to find. I mean, I can pull up Marketplace, and even in my area, probably find like 20 of them in good condition for under $15K. So it doesn't surprise me that Mazda's not selling as many MX-5s. I hope that they understand why that is and don't stop making them, although they're probably never going to stop making them. I like how it's like, oh, the mechanically similar BRZs, they only sold 803. Yeah, because they're contractually limited in how many they can sell.
Yeah, that's it's kind of big. They are contractually limited, which means they don't get to sell as much. So the metric of how many you sold, the fact that they sold that much means they're fucking doing it.
Yeah.
They are doing it.
Yeah, 2,800 8.6s in just Q1, just the first 3 months of this year. The Supra has 919 deliveries, which is respectable.
That is, especially not knowing the future of the Supras.
Yeah. The Z is they're not selling very many, but Nissan's moving the Z to a build to order strategy next year. The Z is going to kind of become a bit more specialty and a bit more limited.
I think
think
with even sports, like cheaper sports cars, I think build to order is smarter anyway, so that people can come in and go, well, because as manufacturers do it now, they're just like, well, we're gonna assume that like 20% of the market likes it like this, and the other part of the market likes it like this, and there's some
mhm.
of the people that like it like that, so they just make a bunch of weird specs,
Yeah.
and then they're like, well, we sell what we have. Build to order is so much better because people can come in, and if you have 20% of the cars that were made are manuals, but 30% of the people that come in to buy the cars want manuals, then you're kind of up shit creek without a paddle, because they'll go
Yeah.
find something else because the people that want them bad enough to go buy something else.
It also incentivizes manufacturers to make cars more modular and easier to work on, which I'm also very much in favor of.
Me too.
And yet, as few Z's as Nissan sold, just shy of 900, at least they sold more than the Prelude. 795 people looked at the new Honda Prelude and said, I want one of those.
You wound me with that. Well, Honda actually wounds me with
Honda
that because
wounds
I have
you.
one sitting in my driveway. Not the new one. I would never
God,
buy the
no.
new one.
God,
That's 60 grand of a waste of time is what that is. But no, I have the 5th gen, and the new Honda hurts my soul. It does.
yeah.
It's bad.
Curiously high starting price, depressing performance specifications. Depressing. And faux gear shifts. Yeah. The fact they managed to.
Depressing is we live in a market where the normal horsepower should be 250 to 300, especially for a car that's coming back after this long, and yet that thing has the same power but worse fucking stats and is a little bit heavier than my 5th gen, I think. So,
Yeah.
and
You
it
can.
looks way worse.
If I remember correctly, for that kind of money, you can buy 2 Miatas and they will each make more power.
Yeah,
Something
how
along those
crazy is that?
lines. The fact that they managed to find 800 people in America willing to buy those is baffling. 800, almost 800 people in the first 3 months of this year looked at that and said, I want it.
Yeah, don't remind me.
How? At least they're better than Lexus. 324 deliveries of the LC. What the fuck is the Lexus LC? It's probably... I don't even know what this thing is. Probably because I don't follow Lexus. Oh, this thing.
So those are those are very cool. Those are very neat cars and they have awesome looks, but they're overpriced in just about everyone's opinion. That's why there's so few of them. Lexus has a bunch of other sports car types that cost way less.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So if these things had been priced 70 to 80, they probably would have sold like hotcakes because they're actually a good looking car.
They're a very good looking car, a 471 horsepower V8, which is okay. Still not worth. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. 10. Oh, it only comes with a 10-speed auto? Yeah, no, that is bruh.
Well, Lexus is supposed to be the luxury brand of Toyota, so they don't really want to.
Oh, and they're getting rid of the 500 too. Lexus tends to bring a full electric supercar to the market. Okay. Core structure, the GR-GT. So it's going to be a, like, Lexus badged clone of the GR-GT. Why would anyone buy that instead of a GR-GT, which has an engine
So
you actually want?
it's Ferrari Enzo, and then fucking Maserati made the MC12, which is basically the Enzo body with or the Enzo frame with everything that the Enzo had, but in a lighter body that was faster. That's kind of annoying. I like the MC12 is a nice car though. And so is the Enzo. This is just the GRTG. They don't even know if it's going to be an instant classic yet or not. I think it's going to be cool, but people might not like it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the R36 due in 2028. Let's see how that goes. So yeah, 8-6 podcast. Very happy about the continued success and continued success and continued domination of the 8-6.
We love these cars.
My God, they're so amazing, and I am so glad. On the one hand, I'm happy that I'm seeing more of them on the road. On the other hand, I want all of the, like, Instagram clout boys and weirdos to continue thinking that they're underpowered and slow. The more of them that think that this is underpowered and slow, and why would you ever buy a car with only 200 horsepower, the happier I am, because it means, A, when I pull up next to a 8.6 owner at work, I know they're probably not an asshole, and B, I don't have to see these things wrapped around trees by idiots that don't know how to handle them. Although, granted,
or slammed to the ground with their fucking wheels doing this. Which is disgusting.
You do see that. Actually,
too much.
Thank you for triggering my fucking PTSD. I saw one, thankfully going the other direction, so I didn't have to look at it for long. But there was one in Schenectady when I was driving home like a week ago.
Fun.
And it looked like it wanted someone to kill it. It looked like it wanted to die. It looked like it wanted to be taken behind the chemical shed.
Every slammed car looks like it wants to die, because it does. It's rubbing frame every day. It goes, oh, a little bit closer to death, but not close enough.
Not close enough, indeed. So yeah, hopefully more actual sensible people buy these, and hopefully more of the annoying assholes still think they're slow.
Yes, sirree.
All right, this is your surprise from Car and Driver.
Yes. Bonus round. Here we go. So, this year is 2026, which means 25 years ago was 2001. If you want to get onto my live stream real quick so that you can show everybody. So, we do have stuff like the Renault Clio that's available, but that's not the really exciting part. I've got the list of exciting cars that we care about. So, JDM spec cars have a 25-year rule where they weren't legal to import because they wouldn't pass the, I believe it's the EPA stuff and the safety standards. Well, guess what? 2001 cars now do, which means we have access to the original version of the Honda Integra Type R, which came with Recaro seats and a better engine and all kinds of goodies. That's just the first of it. We also have the 2001 Evo 7 JDM spec.
Ooh.
Yup. Keep it going. The 2001 Bug-Eye JDM spec.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. More Bug-Eyes is always good.
The final edition FDRX7 models, including the Spirit R.
Hell yes.
And the Bathurst R.
Oh.
The Nissan Silvia S15 final editions. These were the first years this came out, and we finally get the crazy, crazy Tokyo Drift models of these cars. The 2001 facelift of the NSX.
Oh.
And last but not least, Godzilla.
R34
Skyline R32 or R34 V-Spec 2.
Oh.
That's my exciting news. All of these cars are now importable, which means rich people will have a ton of them over here in a couple of months.
More than that, it means you can get these for cheap because
It also
Japanese.
does mean the prices are going to come down
I
because the
mean,
Japanese have a ton of them and they don't use them, and so they're all going to come over here, and all of a sudden prices are going to crater.
well, you can also get them from Japan for cheap. Japanese imports are like stupid cheap.
I
Um,
know of about 6 or 7 YouTubers that have these cars stored in Japan ready to go as soon as they hit their mark. Ready to ship. It's like that. They already bought them. They bought them for really cheap. Your camera's been fucked up for a little bit, and I'm
huh?
super excited to start seeing these on the road. For me,
Well,
it's grainy. I don't know if it's that like that on yours.
doesn't look it. So we should be
Okay.
good.
Yep. So that
I'm
is my
looking
bonus
forward.
round.
The one.
Other
Yes.
other cars we have available to us will be a sleeper sedan with the 1JZ GTE engine in the Toyota Verosa. The bug eye was already said. The Aristo V300, which has the 2JZ GTE equivalent, and that is basically a Lexus GS 300 but in Toyota trim. The Nissan Stagea, which is a
Ooh.
wagon. Yeah. Toyota
Isn't
Mark
that
II
isn't
Tourer
that
5.
the fast wagon they made though?
It is. The Stagias were the fast wagons. Toyota Mark II Tourer 5 with the 1JZ GTE engines. The Toyota MRS, which is the JDM version of the MR2 Spiders. That's pretty nice. And the Suzuki Cappuccinos.
Well, we've always been able to get cappuccinos.
Yes, but these are the late models,
Yes, that is
which were
true.
better.
That is true. So yeah, honestly, if we continue this podcast for a while, we really need to make this a recurring series. Just
Every
start
year
them
we
every
just
year. Just hey, here's all the new shit you can import from Japan for dirt
But I'm
cheap.
glad we were doing this now because that lineup,
Yes,
that lineup is nuts. Of shit that's going to be available this year. That is like holy grail specs
I'm
of a
looking.
lot of shit.
I'm looking forward to R34s going down in price, but at the same time, they're not going to go down that much because they're all going to get snapped up.
No, the R34s are probably going to sit around 80 once the price collapses.
Yeah,
That is my guess. It's going to be 70 to 80 because right now they're going for over 200.
yeah.
70 to 80 is still expensive, but that's way down. So
All
on
right.
this article, you had the MGZR, the Renault Aventine, which is the one more interesting one, actually. It's not the best, but is the Honda Accord Euro R.
Hmm.
So it is the same engine. It's like an uptuned version of my Prelude engine in a 4-door sedan with a manual.
Oh. Ooh. I like how these are
Yeah.
all European cars. They just ignore where most of the imports come from.
Yeah, they even said in this article that there's a UK version with slightly less power, but a JDM one that's really worth hunting down for the Euro Rs or for the JDM Rs.
All right, let me switch back to my. And do you know why Japanese imports are so cheap? Why Japanese cars are so cheap?
They overproduce them like crazy.
That's part of it. The main reason is that they have vehicle inspections. I remember correctly, they're called shaken. And shaken vehicle inspections are like super in deep, like they all but tear the car down, and B, very expensive. And you have to do this like every like 3 to 5 years, I think, for full size cars. Um, and that coupled with how quickly cars deteriorate in Japan means that it's often cheaper to just buy a new car, not even every 3 to 5 years, but just like buy a new car every 5 to 8 years and only do shotgun on a car maybe once because it is friggin' pricey to do. And so you have a huge used market full of cars that still need shotgun inspection.
So the
And
moment you buy them, you're out another like 10 Japanese grand or whatever.
it's I think like 2 to 5 or something like that. But yeah, it's like it
But
is
2 to 5 in that market's big,
yeah,
especially when there's that level and number of cars going around.
yeah. Like let me Uh,
37,000 yen.
100,000 to 200,000 yen for used standard cars through dealers, but can be done under 50 to 80,000 yen for K cars. So JPY to USD. Okay, so not as much as I thought. That's like $600 to $900, but that's
But the
still
exchange
like,
rate is
yeah,
like the Japanese market. That's a lot of money to those people. Because why don't you look
yeah.
up average income in Japan?
3.8 to 4 million yen. So that's about 1/40th, 1/30th to 1/40th of your average annual income. So yeah, that's their
And
median
these
annual
people,
income.
yeah, and I mean, especially if you live in one of the major cities, it's not.
Hmm.
If you live anywhere but the major cities, your car is breaking down way faster than every 3 to 5 years because of the
Yeah.
like all the other shit out there. If you're
So
living in one of the major cities,
yeah.
most of that's going to rent.
So it's kind of the equivalent of if in the US you had to get your car like tear down inspected every 2 to 3 years and it cost you like $2,000 to get done. So every single used car or most used cars had a like you buy this and you immediately need to pay another 2 grand just to get it inspected. You run into the same thing kind of with like how used Priuses are super cheap, because if you have a high mileage used Prius, it's basically guaranteed that you're out a couple grand to get a new battery.
Yep.
It depresses the used price of cars. So, and then you couple with that, as you say, median incomes are lower, so the overall price of vehicles is going to be lower. You have a ton of cars that you can get that in the US spec versions are like 20, 30 grand. And in Japan, you can get a Japanese spec car for like under 10. And then you pay like 2 grand to import it to the US, assuming you're picking it up from the port. And there you go. And you get a JDM spec for really cheap. Um, that's why those are so cheap, is because of the shotgun inspections. So yeah, I'm really excited for the new
The
ones,
best
especially.
way I can put this for people that understand that don't quite understand what they mean by teardown inspections is there's a running joke in the Porsche community that every service is an engine out service, no matter what you're doing. It's basically that, but every time you need an inspection, which is mandatory every couple of years.
Yeah.
So engine and trans drop, fucking everything torn down to make sure it's not got crazy wear and tear, all that shit. They're tearing things down. It might be how deep are these inspections? They tear the engine out to look at it, but do they actually go all the way down to fucking like piston rings and shit? They're tearing everything down.
Um. Oh yeah. Wow. It is even sooner. Wheel alignment, speedometer, headlamp. They test undercarriage. Okay. So. Oh
So it
yeah.
doesn't look like they rip everything, but they do.
Yeah,
It's very
it's all but a teardown inspection. So it's not quite a teardown inspection, but it's pretty close. It's like they put it on a dyno and run it to get emissions tests. Like, I mean, it's you're dynoing it, you're measuring parts, you're doing a lot of stuff. Um, yeah. Oh, and then on top of that, you have mandatory insurance, weight tax, like which all has to be paid when you get the shotgun.
so you're out in US dollars, you're out 2 to 3 grand usually getting all that done.
Oh
That's a
yeah.
lot of money.
The vehicle is driven 1 meter with the steering wheel held straight, and any left-right deviation of the vehicle's movement is measured to ensure no wear on the steering rack. The cost of the equipment to do that must be, because it's Japan. They have like precision Yamaha measurement equipment to do that. So yeah, that's why it's so pricey. Is they
Oh,
are
and you're not even
proper
taking
fastidious.
you're not even taking that into it. They check the brakes, and most likely you're just gonna want it to make sure you pass this and don't have to do it again. You probably just want to go ahead and put new brakes on the car. So add that to the cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because of the way they test that. That's yeah, no. So just getting ready for this is going to cost you probably a couple grand, and then the thing is going to cost you a couple grand, and then
Hmm.
the fucking all the other taxes and shit are probably going to cost you another grand.
Yeah.
So you could be 5,000 to 6,000 out the door by the time you get through this,
Yeah.
and this is every
It's
couple of years. No wonder.
yeah. So the
So you either
alternative
drive
is
illegal or you spend too much money.
you just sell the car for what you can get for it and buy a new one, which has already got its inspection completed because it's fresh from the factory. So yeah, that's why JDM spec cars are so cheap to buy and import. And I'm looking forward to all the new ones, especially those bug eyes.
Oh yeah,
Those are the early. I think that includes the early ST. I don't. When they
it does.
start, yeah, the early STIs. Was that 2000
Hmm.
or 2002 when they introduced those?
2000.
But
So
the US
the
did the US didn't get the STI until '04, but
Subaru
Japan
Impreza
had them.
WRX STI, first generation of the Bug Eye STI with the AG207 engine, or with the
AG2 EJ.
207.
Yeah.
I can't speak today. You'll have to forgive me. Yes, the EJ207. Thank you.
Yes. Which
Plus, I've been playing too much fucking Elden Ring, and EG is the name of one of the NPCs in that I talk to a lot. So we're just gonna use that as an excuse and move on from my complete
so
lack of awareness.
we can finally start to like we can really start to import the STIs America never got. Oh my god, moving on from that because I could talk about this all day. Time for what grinds my gears, and what grinds my gears aside from this horrible AI image. No, and the mouse with the forward and back buttons on it is yeah. So this is kind of this became a big story in 2022, but it came up in my feed again because apparently they've finally wrapped up the massive lawsuit. It was, what was it? Brookside, Alabama. This tiny little town in Alabama put up a whole ton of speed cameras, and the cops were super aggressive and just jumping on like anything and everything going on. I mean, pulling revenue. I think they ended
No
up
taxes on
pulling
45.
like $500,000 in a year. I mean, this says, $487 in fines and forfeitures for every man, woman, and child. Absurd. In a small town, and this is a perennial issue with a lot of rural places, especially in the southern part of the United States. It's not as big a deal in the northern parts, although on the one hand, like cops in Ellensburg, Washington, because I used to live in Ellensburg, cops in Ellensburg they're a little aggressive, but on the other hand, it's a college town and they have a really big problem with street racing. So they at least have an
Well, and
excuse.
probably drinking.
Yeah. Drinking and DUI is kind of a problem in Washington State, and in Ellensburg specifically, because it's a college town, there's a lot of dumb kids going street racing. So they at least have an excuse to be a little bit aggressive. There's an actual problem. This is a tiny town that was fleecing its people to pay for, like, bullshit. And it really grinds my gears when I hear stories like this of just and this is why I don't like speed cameras. This is why I don't like speed cameras, because it takes the effort out of policing. Policing should require some effort, because that effort ensures that what you're going after and what you're punishing is actually a problem. You're not just putting up bullshit speed cameras everywhere to catch people who, yeah, maybe they're going over the speed limit, but they're going over the speed limit on a wide open, empty road that's fully lit in the middle of the night with great visibility. Where's the problem there? There needs to be at least some barrier of effort in terms of actually getting out there and sitting out there, paying for the cops' time, doing all the paperwork to ticket somebody. Because it means that you're going after the actual problems, and again, not just using this as a bullshit revenue scheme, because that's what all these speed cameras are, is bullshit revenue schemes. I'm not going to say that people driving at absolutely BS speeds, like 135 miles an hour through a built-up area, this Marquess Brownlee shit, is something we should tolerate or accept in our society. We shouldn't. But on the flip side, it is possible to go too far in the other direction, and this is the consequence, which is
the camera caught you going 1 over in a business zone.
Yeah.
Probably caused some forfeitures. Yeah, I'd be pissed as well, bro.
Yeah.
And we have shit like that in Texas, but not too much. There are towns. I know the last time I got pulled over and got an actual ticket I couldn't fight my way out of was Palmer, Texas, and they are fucking aggressive about that shit. That's how that little town makes all of its money, is ticketing people on that highway.
Yeah. One example given, a woman and her daughter were arrested by the police following a traffic stop, falsely charged with possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia, obstruction of government operations, and resisting arrest. The first two, I don't know, because a lot of people can, I'm innocent, I didn't do anything, but at the same time, if they're this corrupt, yeah, maybe they were just making shit up. Maybe they did have one of those BS sniffer dogs that's just trained to follow the cues of the handler.
If it was just
he alerted
to
on
being
it.
too aggressive for like speeding,
but
when you start making up charges, it gets dead fast.
And what I know for sure, these second charges were like they pulled them over, they threw some like BS charges in their face to get them like defensive and upset, and then they charged them with obstruction and charged them with resisting purely for being like, what do you mean weed? There's no weed in this car. I don't do weed. The weed's never been anywhere near this car. It's like, okay, well, we're going to charge you with resisting because you're not just immediately complying with everything, and we're going to charge you with obstruction because you're talking back.
Well, dude, one of the dudes that I went through court with that had my same lawyer, in Palmer, they had given him tickets for tint. The fucking brake lights weren't bright enough. They gave him all kinds of tickets. And basically what it was the only thing they actually wanted was the speeding ticket. They were going to not let it affect his fucking thing. If you fight it, they don't let it affect your actual driver's license in Texas, but they will make you pay a really large fine. So they tack on as much as they can so that they can raise that fine, and then they drop a lot of it just to make you be like, yeah, I won against the court, effectively. I mean, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I will say that Houston has gone the other way on this program. 2011, Houston permanently disabled all of its red light cameras. They haven't been a thing since.
Red light cameras I don't necessarily have a problem with, depending upon how they're tuned, because
that is true. But
I mean, I live in a place where it's pretty common for people to just like try and it's one thing to try and beat the light, it's another to be just follow someone in when it turns red.
I think one of the main things that they were fighting for a little while to get them banned was we have a problem in this town where they weren't tuned at all. Like the red lights themselves weren't tuned at all correctly. I remember sitting for 10 minutes before I finally just ran a red light. I sat at an empty fucking four-way for 10 minutes and the light wouldn't change. I was sitting on the line waiting for it to change and it just wouldn't change. I waited 10 minutes and then I just made the left when it was safe.
Yeah. I can see that as an argument against red light cameras. Broadly speaking, I'm not necessarily opposed to, because that is like a very clear, like running a red light is not something you do accidentally, and it's not something that's super reasonable to do. Barring, of course, weird exigent circumstances like you described. But speed cameras
are dumb.
I drifted 1 over in this road, and now your robot is going to charge me $200.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to you have the right to face your accuser in court? My accuser's a
Well,
robot.
the accuser is this piece of shit camera on the side of the road. I'm not gonna face it in court. I'm gonna face it with a baseball bat on the side of the road in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And yeah, these women that got these bullshit charges stacked, they paid $2,000. $2,000 in fines and fees.
I will say
and then they got their charges dismissed only because they bitched all the way up to county.
Yeah. I will say that this lawsuit immediately tries to put people in the headspace of a different type of anger, because look at the very first picture. It's fucking race baiting as hard as it possibly can with that AI slot picture.
Yeah, I'm not a super huge fan of that as well, but that kind of drifts away from cars.
It does.
We're still, I mean, this kills trust in the police, and trust in the police is what you need for a good and orderly society. I fucking hate departments like this. I hate all this
Departments like
BS.
this make everybody else look bad. It's just like street takeovers make the car community look bad. It's the same shit.
Exactly. I hate speed cameras because they take all the effort out of policing. I understand that if you have a problem with speeders, you need to do something about that. Do your friggin' jobs. Do your friggin' jobs. And I mean, you don't need speed cameras. Traffic cameras already exist. There's nothing wrong with traffic cameras, with monitoring the flow of traffic and keeping an eye out for any incidents that come up so you can dispatch police more effectively. Don't give them the power to issue tickets.
Well, I mean, this was at the top, and they wanted more income so that they can again, like, funnel it into companies and get kickbacks for judges and all that kind of shit. I mean, this is where this is going.
Yeah.
They're eventually going to find out that everybody in this town was corrupt as shit.
Well, the Alabama state legislature had to pass a bill which capped the revenue municipalities can keep from fines. Capped it. So they can only keep a certain amount of the money from the fines. I don't know where the rest of that goes. The other 90% goes. Presumably it gets kicked up to other organizations or agencies, or kicked up to the state. But like,
I'd imagine it probably gets kicked up to the state. Just so you can't have the small town abuse shit.
Yeah. Which, I mean, doesn't really help anybody because that all gets funneled away and disappeared. And now they have to pay $1.5 million and watch the town find a way to weasel out of paying that money.
Well, the town itself is going to, and then it's going to try to it's going to have to pay, but it's not going to want to pay. So it's going to find a way to weasel its way into the state's pocket for it.
The police department would also stay off the nearby interstate for the next 10 years. I'm going to be honest. Why are small town cops allowed to pull people over on the interstate? Especially if the interstate doesn't run directly through the town.
Yeah.
Why? The stadies should be the only people pulling people over to the interstate. Yeah. So,
Yeah, no, that's a good point, dude. Fucking the town I was talking about in Texas, Palmer.
Yeah.
That shit is off the highway. It doesn't go straight through town or anything. It's nearby. It exits into the town, but it doesn't fucking... If you're on the highway, you shouldn't be pulled over by those fucking idiots.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what grinds my gears this week, is shitty speed cameras and the way that they are used to extract money from people who are mostly just living their lives. Shorter episode today. I'm trying out a little bit of a new format, trying to structure things a bit better, trying to keep our articles more focused directly on car stuff, because we have gone into tangents lately. So hopefully it all works out. But in the meantime, thank you all very much for watching. Do you have anything to close out? Because I got nothing.
I'm just super excited about all the shit that I'm going to see in America from now on. Let's be real.
Hell yeah.
Cap this out on a high note.
Oh, yeah. And on that not terrible disappointment, on that great news, and of course, we're really bookending it. Good news at the start, good news at the end. On that great news, thank you all very much for listening, and we hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.
Have a good night, everybody.